Welcome back to the hood. This is Chill in the Green Box with Specks, Thompson, and a View. And act like done grab my co-host again. And if View's out here, act like took him again. But we got Moon here, Anyway, who's also a part of Concrete and here to tell us about herself. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
For people who don't know who you are, give a little brief introduction of who you are.
hmm I am Karla, but AKA Moon, the Storyteller. I am the creator of Luna, the Queen of Maru. Um, issue number 1 is already out now through Concrete Comics, and we are putting the finishing touches on issue number 2, which will soon be launching on Kickstarter later this year. So that's a little bit about me.
Cool. And I assume you're on the East Coast. You might be aware of the reference of the show. Growing up, do y'all have the green electrical boxes in front of the neighborhoods?
Yes.
So this show is basically that. When I was growing up, we used to chill on that green box. After school or the weekends, whatever. We all just meet there. Hang out. Chit chat, do flips off of it.
Mhm.
Whatever. So this show's basically that because I've been on a lot of podcasts and shows with comic book creators and other kind of shows, and it'd be just 2 hours of a creator talking about their project, and nobody has a reason why to support them or who they are. So I develop my shows so people know more about the creator and about the people who come on, so they got more information on why to follow them, why to support them, or just intrigue the new information they give out. So
Mhm.
with
Okay.
yep. So with this show, I got 4 different segments. All the basic questions, I make up or ask ahead of time. And for my first segment, it's called breaking it down because on that chill on that green box, you break several things down with your friends, concepts, theories, and whatever. So we're gonna break your brain down so people know more about you.
Okay. All right. I think I'm ready.
All right. So my first question with that is, if you can choose your dreams, what would you prefer to dream about?
If I could choose my dreams.
Yeah.
So, if I could choose my dreams, I would definitely dream about things that would make my life, more fulfilling and that of my family's.
Okay.
So, right now, I am working on issue 2, but I love to write. I love to create projects that are centered around the family. So I would dream about, writing and creating things about, family friendly content, putting smiles on children's faces, just enriching the life of the family because there's not a lot of content. There's a lot of content out there, but n- not it's not always family centered. It's not something that I could sit down and see with my son.
Yeah.
So I would definitely dream about that, enriching the family life, and also extending that, to things that I could do to make my community better. And obviously the big things, right? Getting rid of hunger, getting rid of mental illness, getting rid of homelessness. So things like that, just things that can enrich my life, enrich my family's life, and then enrich the community.
Okay. Going back what you said about family content. Um,
Mhm.
was I was listening to a podcast or was it a conversation? I can't remember. But the whole idea of whatever I was listening to, it said back in the day, maybe 80s, 90s, black content, it's more about, family and friends and being together and, thriving or whatever. And
So, yep.
but now it's not about that. It's more, it's been a shift and like you had to live in single, Jane Fox show and that stuff that, was positive, whatever. But nerd shows, I mean, they're not quite positive. They're a whole lot darker. But I have seen the shift in that in the black content that came out. Like people talk crap about Tyler Perry, but like he's really the only thing that's putting out positive content so far for Black people. I think it's a cartoon that came out on Netflix recently. I haven't watched it, but I think that's like it might be a positive show. But
Like the dad's a bounty hunter.
no, well, that, but no, it's a different one. I don't know the name of it because everybody was sharing it recently.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah,
must
but
be one of the new ones.
yeah, it's like it's like some I think if you see the cover, it's a Black family sitting on the stoop, and I think the dad might be a barber or something like that. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I know what you're talking. We haven't dived into it. We're watching my dad's a space bounty hunter, something like that. He's a bounty hunter in space. So we're on season 2 of that.
Now, was that a movie at first?
I don't know. We found out when it became out as just a cartoon last season.
Oh.
So we really like that. My son's not really into space yet. I'm trying to get him more into it, but we do watch that. There's also family reunion. You know, we just lost Richard Roundtree, but it made me think of family reunion. That was on for a good bit, and that was a really positive kind of. It took us back to the days of, you know, the Cosby Show and that extended family, you know, kind of thing. That was a really positive show and was funny, and it was written by Black people. So that was something. But you're right. I can't think of a lot of family centered Black shows. You know, movies definitely, but not necessarily something that's reoccurring every week.
Yeah.
So you're right about that. Mm-hmm.
My next question: what fruit or vegetable right now would describe your mood?
Oh, so we just went apple picking on Saturday, and it's a farm here in Maryland called the Bogers Farm. I don't remember. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they have fruit picking, so you can pick strawberries, apples. They have pumpkins right now, so we chose apples. Obviously, apples are in season, and there are like so many different varieties of apples.
It is.
And they're, you know, when you pick them fresh from the tree, they're so much sweeter. Like even the sour apples are just much more palatable, you know. And so I would say right now my personality is like an apple because it can depending on the day, you can hit me in different ways. You know, I could come back, you know, really joyful. I can come back sarcastic. I can come back kind of like, you know, with an attitude. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed. So I would say I would probably describe it as an apple. But when you treat it just right, when you cultivate it and you treat it right, it's going to come out really sweet and really good. And you might even be able to make an apple pie with it. So I would definitely I would say apple.
Okay. That's good. Next question. What's your favorite party game?
Party game? I love 20 questions. I haven't played it in a long time, but I love 20 questions where you try to guess, you know, what an object or a person is. Of course, any like card game, like I keep it simple, like Uno or Spades. Those are the simple card
What is
for
that
me.
simple? That's two different extremes.
I know Uno is easy, right? Spades, we've been playing it for years, so that's why I call it easy, you know, because everyone knows how to play spades.
Allegedly.
You know, allegedly, yeah. If you have a good partner, you can probably do well. But yeah, I would say card games is in 20 questions, like anything to guess, like charades. You know, so it's something that engages the group. You know, I like that.
Okay. That's what's up. All right. Well, that's the end of my questions for that segment. So I'm going to my next segment, which is called the back issues. Be in the comments, you should know about that one. But for people who don't, if you want to know about a character's an origin story, you're going to their back issues. So, for example, you want to know about Iceman from from the X-Men, you go into his back issues, find out about his origin story. So for this segment, we're going to go into your back issues to find out more about your origin story.
Okay.
All right. So my first question with that: where are you from, and what do you call your hood?
Well, I'm from Georgia originally, but I grew up here in Maryland. So
Okay.
specifically in Howard County. So my hood, I don't, Howard County, I mean, there's different types of village, like we call it villages.
Oh yeah.
I think I grew up in Hickory Ridge, the Hickory Ridge Village. Right now I live outside of those villages. I live, I'm not going to say my town, but close to Baltimore.
So what's
But I wouldn't
considered
call my-
what's considered a village?
so a village is centered mainly in Columbia. So I grew up in Columbia, and they have like different villages. So they can have, and villages are like just like a zip code. Um, and when you say I'm from the such and such village, that you usually know what high school they're from, usually know what elementary school they're from, where they shop, you know a little bit about them when they say that. Just like with anything, you say I'm from so and so, kind of know where how they grew up. I live in a town outside of Baltimore. I wouldn't call myself a Baltimorean. So I really can't answer that question because like I feel like I'm a little bit of everything. Like I'm from the South, I grew up in the suburbs, so I'm kind of like a mix of a lot of different things. So I couldn't say I'm from such and such because you see it, me myself, you see a little bit of everything in me. I'm kind of like a montage of all the places I've lived, and so I can't really answer that question.
Okay. I think if you really from Baltimore, you say Duke instead of dog. Start doing things like
Yep.
that. Like I
Yeah.
had a roommate. He's from Baltimore, and we used to get on him the whole time because I guess he was the opposite. So he's from Baltimore and came to Georgia versus what you did. So like he'll always try to make his accent real thick when we know it's not because he been here since like middle school, so like it's been gone. Come on, man. we're not 30, so like, my accent's gone. But it's because he brings his out, but his brothers don't have it. His dad got a little tint to it, but his mom's from here, so you don't hear hers. But he's like real heavy, like he's like wearing his Nike boots and bubble jacket right now. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, Baltimoreans, they're very proud of it's in some there's different areas of Baltimore. But if you're from Baltimore, you will definitely claim it and own it because Baltimore is a very interesting place. It's not all bad. Baltimore has a lot of culture, a lot of rich heritage. There are some, sad moments that you might see if you go into the city. But Baltimore is very rich in culture. So people who are from Baltimore are very proud of being from Baltimore. Um, and Maryland also is the home of the crab. So like everyone from Maryland, we all own, crab. Like crabs are everybody loves crabs here.
Mm-hmm.
Old Bay, anything you can put Old Bay in, that's what we do. So there's certain things that makes our state, like unique to us. But I definitely understand your friend because people who are from Baltimore, they are very proud they're from Baltimore because Baltimore is a really tough place to grow up in. But it does have its culture. If you're from Baltimore, there's a distinct culture, that you're part of. So that's something to be proud of. So I understand. I do.
Okay. Now, do you listen to music?
Yes, I do. I love music.
All right. So, what artist or song got you listening to the type of music or the genre you fell in love with?
So I love different types of genres, but my favorite is R&B.
Okay.
That is the what speaks to my soul. You know, like my playlist now has, let me see what my playlist. I have a lot on my playlist, but and I have different playlists depending on the my mood. So let me see what I have on my playlist right now. So I have Kelly Rowland, Ari Lennox, Chloe, Janet, Mariah, and Vogue. There's an artist out of London named Renee Rain, Brandy. Then I have a few Afro beats. You know, I have Aretha on here, Queen Naja, Beyonce,
Okay.
Maxwell, Alicia, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, like, most of my music is rooted in Black culture. You know, R&B. Um, you know, and some of these newer artists like Hallie and Chloe, I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting to know like Victoria Monet. Like I like her stage presence. I think she's a really polished artist that is worth, you know, spending money on. Coco Jones. So R&B probably is my favorite genre. I do listen to other genres, but R&B is the one that gets me in my feelings, you know.
Now, what song or artist got you liking R&B?
Mm. I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I say the very first person that I like, oh, I love this song, probably was Janet, because I would say Tina, but Tina really wasn't R&B.
Okay.
So I would say Whitney and Janet. And Whitney wasn't really R&B either. Like she was more like a kind of a more mainstream pop.
Yeah.
But I would say Janet was probably the first artist that kind of got me into R&B. Because Janet, even though she has pop, you know, a lot of pop songs, she did do a lot of R&B songs with, you know, was it Terry, Jimmy Jam, and Terry. I don't remember their names, but some of her slower music. So Janet probably was the first kind of R&B artist I kind of latched onto. And then of course Mary with
Mm-hmm.
What's the 411. TLC had a few R&B like Baby Baby Baby, you know, even though I was too young to listen to that music, but I still I still listen to it. So I would say those are my earliest R&B sounds that I still listen to them to this day.
Cool. Yeah, I never thought about Janet being a R&B singer, but now that you bring it up, we just had a festival down here, you know, the One Music Fest, and she headlined it, and just the type of artist that it was on there. I was like, okay, she a pop artist, but everybody knows Janet Jackson, so I mean, you know, who cares? But now you say she was R&B. Now I see how she fit the vibe for the whole show. So it makes sense now.
Yeah.
But I never thought about her being, you know, R&B. I always thought her being pop because Michael Jackson's pop, so everybody's pop.
Mhm.
But I never thought her being a R&B singer.
Yeah, she had a few. I mean, I would say her pop was a lot more like popular, but she had a few R&B songs that you know went to number one. I can't think of the one. Um, I can't think of the one, but like again, and that's the way love goes. Those are her on her later albums. But it's one song in particular on her earlier albums, and I cannot it escapes me right now. But I loved it. I loved it. So
Comics. What comic book or comic related TV show got you to comic books?
Black Panther, the movie.
The movie? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the movie. Yeah, so, you know, there was a lot of movies out before Black Panther, X-Men, Iron Man. I loved Iron Man. Um, but I think that there was, I'm trying to think, but I to this day, I say the same thing. The movie that actually inspired me to jump into comic books, because I never read comic books before 2018.
Okay.
The movie that inspired me was Black Panther, specifically Chadwick's performance. What he brought to that performance pretty much set the bar for me when it comes to a comic book adaptation. Because and then once I started reading some of the comic books, because I still feel like I still am a noob to it all. But once I started reading the comic books, I realized how much they watered down some of the movies and some of the powers specifically with Storm. Like we didn't see, I think the X-Men cartoon back in the 90s did more justice for Storm than the actual movies, which is a shame. So, but Black Panther, the first Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, he was what inspired me to get into comics, and his performance actually inspired me to start writing again, and that's how Luna came about. So when he passed, it hit hard. It really did. And I was like, why am I crying so much? Why is his death out of, everybody, a lot of people have died, but why is his death hitting me so hard? And I realized that his performance was linked to me writing again. So whenever I see Luna, I always think of Chadwick, and hopefully one day I can tell him, how much he's inspired me. But I think that movie, number one, was top tier, but more importantly, Chadwick's performance is what really inspired me to kind of dive into this world that I had no idea how rich it was. I had no idea how diverse it was, and it's been a really incredible journey. And now, like, I've kind of put a pause on reading the mainstream comics because there's so many great indie books that I've bought this year that it's sitting here in a basket, right? And I can't, I'm still like kind of catching up with all of them. So the Black Panther is what inspired me.
All right. Two questions coming from you. Well, three questions actually. So first one, were you just never interested in comics or the superhero genre but didn't interest you, or how come you never even thought about it?
I never thought about picking up a comic book. I always loved the superhero movies.
Okay.
I remember the first superhero movie, even though you wouldn't classify it as a superhero movie, but I remember Arnold's movie. Oh my gosh, with Grace Jones.
The last superhero, last action hero, or Jingle All the Way.
It was Grace Jones. Oh my gosh, the title. It was Arnold was the hold on, I gotta look it up now because I know this is pre-recorded, so you'll edit this out. It came out in the 80s, and Conan.
Well,
okay, so it wasn't a superhero movie, but I in my mind, Grace Jones was a superhero because she was the first Black woman that I saw in this role where she was strong and
was Deja Thor, was that her character?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see her name. I can't remember her name, but this is the picture. That was like a scenes picture. But I love. So she wasn't really like a superhero, but she was very powerful. So that kind of got me interested in watching anything where I saw a Black woman that had like these extraordinary powers and abilities. So like kind of fast forward a few years, of course, Michael Keaton's performance in Batman. That was like, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Batman was so cool, and then X-Men back in 1999 or 2000, I think. I saw Halle Berry's performance as Storm. And so I didn't know anything about Storm. Like I was like, oh wow, she's really interesting and she's really powerful, right? But again, that didn't really inspire me to dive into comic books. I never linked the two. I just always loved the movies. But it wasn't until later in life when I kind of was, I had, how when you're young in your 20s, you're moving so fast, you don't really stop and pick up nothing.
Yeah.
But late 30s, I was in my late 30s back in 2018. So I had time, and then COVID hit, and like I had time, So I was like, let me look into comic books and see what's going on right here. So none of my friends, read comic books, and if they did, they didn't tell nobody. So, but now comic books is like, it's not, even though, we call ourselves nerds, it's not a nerdy thing. It's actually a very cool thing, to read comic books. So I think it's just becoming more for people who weren't raised around it, I think these movies are kind of like inspiring people to get into something that they never considered as, you know, cool or, you know, fun to read and entertaining. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I just never thought of it. I never made the connection.
All right. And you also said, I mean, I should talk about my next segment. I'll talk about that in my next segment instead. But um so, you know, I read comics, do about comics, all that stuff, before Black Panther. But Black Panther did trigger something for me, but it wasn't some. Well, I thought Black Panther was lame, but beforehand,
Oh, but
I thought he was just black, the black version of Iron Man. You know, not War Machine, but like just a black, like it, like coming up, it seemed so similar. Just okay, he just Tony Stark, but black from Africa. That's basically what he was to me. And even like now, you can say, oh, it's some Black Panther stories you can read, but like growing up, it was no like, oh, Dark Knight Returns. You need to read something like that for Black Panther. He didn't really have no real major stories that's popular. Like he was just a character that pops up with Fantastic Four, the Avengers here and there. He really didn't do anything, so he wasn't popular.
mhm.
Maybe it's my age. From I guess maybe people your age or older, they liked them because in a Kanye West movie, he had a Black Panther shirt on during his movie, so maybe they was reading him, but like he wasn't there. Like I mean, we had John Stewart, you know, Green Lantern. We had Steel at least. Um, who else? Oh no, Black Spawn. So we had them black superheroes. So I guess he got overshadowed. I guess, but going back to my
Mhm.
point, so I got my own comic book series and whatnot, and I don't know if I started writing it at the time or just had my concept together. But I was looking in a sales book or an ad or something like that, and it had a white kid dressed as Black Panther. So I was like, man, so that character made such a good point that had a white kid want to dress up as a black guy, and that triggered. I was like, okay, I want my character to be the same way. I want my character to be any kid, whoever want to
Mhm.
dress up as my character, depending on they white, black, Asian, Hispanic, male, female, whatever, they want to dress up as the view. Like that's
Mhm.
how I did it. And funny enough, when I went viral on TikTok last year, um, on my TikTok, my dress up as a view, whatever, and because I was using my voice at the time, I had some theory about using my voice on TikTok. I want to get followers or whatever. I don't know. Also using the AI voice. So people didn't know what I were. That it's so they my costume is he wears a t-shirt mask. You might not be able to see it on camera,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
his mask is a t-shirt.
Mhm.
So people looking at the video, they thought I was wearing a hijab. So one of the popular videos was a girl come on there saying, "Why am I using a t-shirt as a hijab?" And I had corrected her like, "I'm not using that as a hijab. It's a mask." And that's one of the popular videos. Say it's a t-shirt mask, and people thought that was so cool. But because I got look like a hijab, people don't know if I'm male or female, so I'm getting support from all over. Then on top of that, people think it's a hijab. I'm getting a whole bunch of Muslim community come and get me too. So I like it so much. Like, man, that's crazy. Just perception just triggered. Like it didn't matter. But before then, um, most of my supporters was friends, families, and a whole bunch of white people. Just because I don't can't explain it. White people bought my comic. But since that one little thing, it triggered from Candy. The Candy came back out now, but during the summer last year, they had all the superheroes on the Hershey bars, and I made a big deal about like, oh, they got John Stewart, Nubia on the candy bar. That's cool because they got the black characters on there versus the white characters, and it just blew up controversy on my TikTok because of that. And from there, I just followed through. People like, you
Mm-hmm.
keep talking about black characters, why not make your own character? I'm like, oh, you know what? I do have my own character, da 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 da, and it kept doing a ton of stuff like that. So I see it going. Even I haven't done conventions. My first convention I did was last month, earlier this month,
Mm-hmm.
and once again, people look at my character and there's no like. Actually, it's harder for me to sell to a black person, or even worse, a black kid compared to somebody from a different race. Like to the point that I got a manga series. Uh, so maybe I can pick up some of the black kids because they're not gravitating that way. Somebody has to put it in their face and show them. Then they're like, oh, okay. But like everybody else, they're like, oh, this look cool. It look dope. And they picking it up.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
they don't see the black character. They just see the story. I said, yeah, he a teenager who don't want to be a superhero. He works his uncle's studio, and they just intrigued of the story versus what he looks like. And so I'm guess I'm doing the right thing.
I mean, I think that, yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I did one convention as a vendor back in June, and I was the one here in DC, Awesome Con,
Mhm.
and it was an amazing experience. I had a really great time. But I did notice that I sold more of Luna, and Luna is kind of, let me show Luna. Oh, Luna is, black but blonde hair,
Mhm.
and it, a lot some black people really don't know how to take that. Like they're like, why does she have blonde hair, and why is this, why is that? And it's not a typical black heroine that you see in the comics.
Yeah.
Most of the black heroines are very like ready to fight.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ready to fight, ready to blast a hole in you. And Luna's very different. So I do find that that I sold more of my Luna to people that weren't black. I remember the one customer that fell in love with Luna. Like she picked it up and she held it, and it was a little white girl. So I feel like, okay, you know what? That's okay. Because I said I want Luna. I don't want Luna just to be a black character. I want her to resonate with everyone that is looking for a story like this.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for a story that is about a queen that's in her peace, in her time, in her comfort, in her royalty, in her beauty, um, then this is the story for you. Like it doesn't start off with her attacking someone. It's a story about her coming to understand her purpose, her powers, and how she's going to use that to protect the peace of her kingdom. And it's not a typical superhero's journey. So I think that's why some young black children don't quite understand it, because they're used to seeing us kind of like out the gate throwing a punch. And if it's not like that, they don't really know how to take it. But I'm trying to prove a point. Like I'm trying to say this, this is the other side of womanhood. Like we don't have to always fight. We can use our heads, we can use our community, we can use our powers from within to fight this evil that's threatening us. Now of course Luna does show her powers, like she is going to fight at some point, but that isn't what the story is about. The story is about this woman who is coming to understand who she is and how her abilities, not only her superpowers, but her personality and her love for her people is going to save her people. So it's just a different superhero journey. And like you're right, a lot of young black kids don't really know how to take that, but that's okay. It's not Luna is for everyone, and whoever wants to read her, she's here, to be read. And but yeah, it is kind of a harder sell to sometimes the young black teenagers, because they're used to the manga and the
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah.
If it's not that, they're like, I don't know what this is, and they only have a certain budget. So I get it.
Mhm. My last question on this segment, then I go to my next one. Um, When did you find out that you're a blurred?
Well, I've always been a book nerd. I've always read books. Like my first, I belonged to a book club when I was
Okay.
when I was 4. My mom enrolled me in the Fraggle Rock book club.
Wow.
And so every month I got like 3 new books. I had my own tote, with red, like red on the cover on the outside of it. And I had my put my 3 books in there, and I carried that little tote around the house and I read my books. And I think I had kept that collection for like years. I think I finally got rid of that collection when I was a teenager. And to this day, I'm so mad that I got rid of it. I wish I would have saved it for my son. But I've always been a book nerd. Like if I would prefer, like if you told me, hey, do you want to go to the amusement park or sit and read a book, I would choose the book every time, because I love diving into this fictional world, with these characters and things like that. So I've always been a book nerd. So it's only appropriate that I call myself a blurred now, because I'm diving into these world of comic books, primarily indie comics, because that's all I've been supporting right now this year. Um, but yeah, I would call myself a blur for that very reason, just because I'm starting to really fall in love with comic books, and because I don't have a lot of time anymore to sit and read a novel.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books are the next best thing, because not only does it give you like the dialogue and the story, but you have these great visuals that you can really get into. But I've always been a nerd.
Okay, okay, okay.
Glasses, I got the bun. Uh,
Yeah.
I've always been a nerd.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, that's the end of this segment. Going to my next segment, which is on the hotkeys. Just get in the comics. You may know the term, but it's a double meaning term. In comics, the hotkeys would be considered key issues. Where a new artist, new author, get on a project, or a character get introduced, or nowadays a storyline get turned to a TV show or movie. Also in music, it'd be the buttons a DJ or a producer will press on their turntables or keyboard to trigger certain sounds or songs to get people live during events. So this segment is basically to get people live during this interview, based off questions that I asked you beforehand, and questions I formulated throughout the interview. So we can dive into that. So well, I was going to ask you before, but I held on to it. You said you was writing beforehand, and Black Panther got you back into writing. What were you writing beforehand?
Um, so when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I would write stories. I would write like short stories, and I never finished them. I always would start them, kind of get to the middle, and then I would just give up on them because I got bored or I got busy. So I used to write short stories, and I can't find those journals, but I think I have one journal I kept with some of those stories, some of those ideas, and I used to write poetry as well. And so some of those some of the characters and plot lines from those early stories I kind of pulled into I'm using now for Luna. So I've always loved to write. I always just gave up on it. I never finished it. This is the first time I actually seen something through.
Okay.
And that's because, I've made a promise to myself that I will see this through. I would see Luna through. I would tell her story. So, but yeah, Black Panther is what inspired me to write again.
Now, do you find it easier to write a comic book versus the short stories you was writing before?
I think writing a comic book is harder because I naturally I naturally love to write a lot of words, to describe something and to like really visualize it. But with the comic book, it's a little different. You have to condense all of that. And you have to choose the right dialogue to really capture this character's essence, or move the plot along. So the editor for issue 2, I mean, he did a really great job kind of honing in on some of the things that I really want to make sure that is highlighted in issue 2. He really did a good job. He helped me a lot because he was like, okay, I would send him the script, like a portion of the script, and it'll be like a monologue. He was like, okay, I know you love X-Men, but we can't, we're not, this is not the cartoon. We can't do monologues. Like, we have to kind of condense it because the reader, you got to give the readers credit. Like, you got to let the artwork and a line here, a line there kind of do the work for you. So I think writing a novel is easier than writing a comic book because you're trying to tell the same story, but with less words. And you have to really kind of be in sync with your artist as well. Like, the artist has to understand the story as well to capture, like, just changing up a panel can really shape the whole scene, So I think a comic book is harder. In my personal experience, it's been harder.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your I think I have your comic. I'm not sure. I, I'm not I like I think I have it. If I don't have it, I got a digital version of it, but I'm not sure. I've been trying to look around for it, see if I got it in one of these things right here, but I don't know. But your comic's way more vibrant than everybody else on concrete. So was it hard for you to find your artist?
Mm-mm. So I actually had the comic book pretty much finished before I signed with Concrete Comics. So I already had my artist, I had the kind of the story down. So when I pitched it, they had saw, they saw the artwork already, So I already had Ian. I had been working with him for almost a year, before I got with Concrete. And he's the artist for issue 2. He's now busy. He's very, very, very busy. Because after Luna came out, a lot of other indie creators reached out to him for work, and I'm very happy for him because he wanted to be a full-time illustrator, and that's what he is now. But no, it wasn't hard. And I think what makes the artwork in Luna different is that he's based in Asia, so he's pulling a lot of influences from his own culture, from his own passions, and putting it into Luna, which in the beginning did create a challenge for me because I had to kind of educate him on the Black woman and some of the things, how she would stand and her hair and things like that. So this first issue, this is one of the first pinups he did. And I love it. Like, I didn't change a thing because sometimes the covers can be different than actually what's inside. But issue 1, we kind of struggled with the hair, but issue 2, the hair I feel is more accurate of what a curly haired Black woman's hair would look like. So, but overall, I mean, I wouldn't change it, for the world. I mean, his artwork and his he does the lines and the color. He does the lines and the flats, and he works with someone else to do the final colors. But he is him all the way. Like, he directs his partner in what colors I want. And I was like, hey, I want a rich pink right here in this panel. I want everyone, they see this page, I want them to see pink. When they see this page, I want them to see gold. And he really, takes it to the moon, no pun intended, so, but yeah, I already had my artist, and I love him. I love him. I mean, his artwork is, you can tell it's Ian's artwork, when you see it. So that's what I love about working with him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your comic book choice. You said you start reading a lot of comic books. You read a lot of, I guess, DC and Marvel, and now you're reading indie books. Now,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you said so many great indie stories coming out. Now, are you saying that because you just previously got into comics, so everything's new to you, or just the indie take on the comics are better than the mainstream books? Because essentially everything's new, so you don't have like the bitter taste in your mouth from people have like, oh man, comics ain't the same like it was back in the '70s. So, what's your take on that?
So I'm not trying to take away from the big two at all. Because there are some storylines that I've kind of dived into that I really like. But because it's like the comic books have been going on since what? The 50s, 60s? I mean,
I think 40. I think 40s
the
actually.
40s.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do something new, right? And they and I think in the past 10 years they've really tried their best to kind of reach out to new writers and new artists. But I haven't been impressed by much of the storylines like the past 10 years, this modern age storylines. But it doesn't mean that I mean, I know there are some good ones because a lot of the movies are based on the older storylines, right? But I guess because I'm a writer myself, I'm not gonna name any things, but I picked up on I just read a storyline from a few years back on one of the mainstream characters, and I wasn't impressed. I love the artwork, but I was not impressed with the writing because I thought that it was just really, it was kind of just based. I thought it was lazy writing. Oh, we're just gonna, put this character. She's a really great popular character. We're gonna put her in this storyline, and it's gonna do great. But I felt there was a lot of culture missing from the storyline, and I don't know why that is because the writer was black. So I don't know.
Was it
I
Monica
don't know.
Rambeau?
No, it wasn't. I'm about to get into that one though. I'm about because I want to kind of get caught up on the Marvels.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna say it because I want to write for this character later on, so I don't want to step on nobody's toes. But I just thought it was just lazy writing, and that's because I'm a writer. So a lot of the things that I felt they could have put in there with, the different story techniques and story tools, they didn't do it. I'm not trying to take away from Big Two because they've given us a lot of great content. So when I say that I'm really into the indie comic book world right now, it's because it's something new. These are new characters. You can tell that these writers have really taken their time with it means something to them. These are these indie creators, these are their babies. So they're going to take more time with their writing and make sure their artwork is on point. So I've been supporting Kickstarters like nonstop, all year, to the point where I kind of had to put a pause on it for the next few months because I gotta divert that money to my launch. But that's why I say it, because I feel like sometimes the Big Two takes us for granted, and they'll just pay a writer that may not be the best writer to create this story for this epic character, and it's really not a great story. And everyone who I've asked, and I'm a DM you the storyline and I want to get your thoughts on it. But everybody who I've asked about this story, they're like, it was horrible. It was horrible. And so, because you wait for so long for this character to have their own storyline, and then you get it, and you're like, what? This is what we've been waiting for. So that's why I say I'm really supporting indie creators right now, because you can tell that they're really putting their heart and soul into what they're creating. So if you send me a Kickstarter link, guess what? Even if I don't particularly like the story, I'm going to support it. I'm going to send you $10 so you can make, to add to the pot, because I feel like that's where our future is. I feel like Hollywood needs to take some notes from these indie creators. We want to see new characters. We want to see new storylines. We want to see brilliant writing. And lately, that's why I'm afraid for the Marvels, because it's like, I just hope they do the right thing. I hope they do the right thing.
Wait, is that a female? That's a black female director, right?
The Marvels, yeah.
So
Marvels.
So two things they are. You saying it's lazy, right? First they combine all their powers to be around the same thing. It's all three of their powers connected. So that's lazy already. Then the director, she came out and said,
You saw
the director came out and said that she didn't have control. Like, even though she directed the movie and made the movie, Kevin Feige it was still his movie, so it's not really her vision all the way. And I think the only person that had some control was the Black Panther, uh, Ryan, whatever.
Coogler.
Yeah, he had control over the second one for sure. Because I'm pretty sure they wanted to change that completely up. I think he kept his foot down, but I think he only
And
one.
the actors backed him up.
Yeah,
Chadwick backed him up
yeah.
with kind of sticking to, because the original script that was presented was changed. Like Ryan wrote the script, but even like some of the actors kind of put their take on it, to make it more of a richer experience, you know. But the actors backed him up as well.
Yep. Then going back to how you said DC and Marvel just does whatever. Going back to I said about my TikTok fame. One of the characters was Nubia, and um, and I broke down her origin story, like took it back panel by panel, explaining who she was, and then they be like, "Oh, really? Well, who won the fight?" Then I break the next issue, so okay, she won the fight, da da da. Then this next issue, a few issues later, they brought it back and changed stuff up. So I seen like how much traffic. I hit one video is over 500,000 views on TikTok.
I gotta follow you on TikTok because apparently I'm missing
Well,
that.
I haven't been active, but people still sharing stuff on my stuff. But I haven't been active. But
What's
because
your profile? What's
Legacy
your
of the View,
name? What's it called?
Legacy of the View.
Legacy.
But with that being said, I seen how much traffic I'm getting off of Nubia. So I think the first book they did a good campaign on it, but that second book, like DC put no promotion behind it at all. They put no promotion, no nothing, just whatever. To the point that I don't think the writer even writes for DC no more. And how bad they did it. Everything I see in her right now is being Marvel. But to me, Nubia was her baby. Like you said, like she one who wrote. They brought her in to write Nubia. She wrote Nubia, had the storyline when all the Wonder Women came together and had a battle for the crown or whatever, and they got split up two different things. Okay, this Wonder Woman's over in Amazon, this over the one over here, whatever. Then it's okay, we're gonna bring her to a Justice League. Okay, had a storyline, go bring her to a Justice League. But all that had no campaign behind, no promo, whatever. All you really seeing from DC was freaking Tim Drake, Robin being gay now, and Superboy being gay. That's all you seen from them. All the rest of it, you didn't see no campaign. Like literally right now, Superboy, okay, yeah, he's gay or whatever, but he's Superman. Clark Kent's not Superman right now. No promo behind that. Like all that stuff, who cares? But Tim Drake is gay, and he's with some guy who is irrelevant.
Right, and I don't think that's their promotion. I think that's the reader's promotion. I don't think they're not even promoting that. I don't know.
But I mean, no, it's them because it solicits in the covers like the Superboy thing. So I like Jonathan Kent. But funny part about it, I like Jonathan Kent and Tim Drake, so I was blown away when they did both my characters like that. But Jonathan Kent was on his redemption arc, I guess, because Brian Michael Bendis, he came in and aged Jonathan Kent up. So everyone's like, oh man, they made him a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, something like that. He's like around 20 years old. So the new writer came in and they're trying to revamp him. So he's trying to fill in the role of his dad because Clark was going off world. So he doing a trial and tribulation. He's not as good as Clark. He's like fighting a villain, and the villain might still damage the buildings or still kill somebody or whatever. So we seen that growth. Then it was like, oh well, he's gonna be gay. He's going love interest to one of his friends or whatever. But the crazy part, that issue was like so far ahead. Like I say, they came out maybe in March, but that issue really didn't come out till like October. That's how far advanced it was, and we just for solicits. So anything in between there, nobody cared about. It was waiting for when that character debuted, and it caught so much negative flack. I can't even tell you what issue it came out of. It wasn't important.
Mm-hmm. And I don't, and it's not. I mean, I haven't read that storyline. But it sounds like it's not that he's gay. It's that none of the other characters, nobody, no, they didn't get the same promotion.
Well, no, it's not. No, see, no, the issue is he was a kid beforehand, so they didn't let him get any kind of experience beforehand. They're like, bloop, just he's just been in space for X amount of years. Now he came back, and now the first guy he's cool with. But there's not even. They focus so much on that. It's not even a whole big deal. Like Nubia, yeah, Nubia's gay, whatever. She's lesbian. But with him, it's no play on it. It's just promotional work. It's Pride Month. Let's put him on the cover. Boom, boom. It's no build up of reason why.
And it's no story. It's no story.
Yeah.
It's just and I see that now that I'm paying more attention to the way they promote things. I don't necessarily agree with it, because I don't think you should use Pride Month to, okay, we got gay characters now, or I don't think you should use Black History Month. Okay, we got Black characters now. Like, it should be interwoven into the greater universe. Like it shouldn't be a thing, really, because like Nubia, yes, she's a lesbian, but that's not what you see her. Like, you might see one or two panels where she might be in the bed or kissing, but that's not her story. And I think that's what people kind of feel like is lazy writing, because you're making someone's identity the whole story, and that's not the story. That's not, I personally feel that that's lazy writing. If you say, oh, she's gay, so that's why you should support her. Oh, she's Black, so that's why you should read this story. Oh, she's this. No, it's there's a story behind these characters, and I'm sure I can't speak for the community, but I'm sure members of the LGBTQIA community don't like that either. Like, oh, I'm only going to you want my dollars because you made this character gay, so now I'm gonna give you my dollars. No, they want to have a story with this. They want to have a nice, a well thought out storyline for this character who happens to be gay. I think the character comes first. I think everything else that makes them who they are should be interwoven in their story. So, like, I agree. Like, I think that, and I don't know why that is, because they have the money. Like, DC and Marvel have the money to promote, and really make it like an event. Like, oh, we have 10 new comic storylines debuting in the fall of 2023. Check them out.
But
and have
I think that promotion team is bad because once again, I like Jonathan Kent. I can't show you my bookcase, but I got all the Super Sons books that him and Damian Wayne did.
Mm-hmm.
When that movie came out, you probably don't know it's a movie, but they made a movie with Super Sons. I think they even made 2 of them. No promotion behind it. They just it came out, get on DVD, or you didn't get on DVD, well, it's on HBO Max. And what? But Batman versus the Three Stooges, it's gonna get the most promotion behind that. Who wants to see that? But they're gonna promote that. Batman, without his Batmobile, part 65. They're gonna promote that. But something that will sell people who fans of, they don't do it. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why. They're clearly not listening to the people that's buying the books. I don't know why that is. I don't know. I think they can take a note from the indie creators and how indie creators promote their stuff.
Well, I can't think of the writer, but he's popular, whatever. he went to do his indie stuff, the Substack stuff they what they be doing, and his books got popular. I can't think who the guy is right now. I really can't think. But they was like, "Oh my God, he's good again," and they threw him some more money. And he came back to DC. I was like, so they are seeing, but they just don't care. They just don't care. Which brings me to one of my points that you said. Why it's so important to tell our own stories. Because growing up in the 90s, my Flash is Wally West, the redhead Flash. Then sometime in 2000s, New 52, they made this Black Flash. Who cares? That's not Wally West that I know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a Black Flash. I didn't know.
That's marketing. They bad at marketing. So
yeah, I didn't know.
The Wally West Flash, who was Kid Flash back in the day, it was the white and redhead. They killed him off, and they revamped DC Comics. They brought him back as a black kid, which is weird because his relation to Barry would have been like his nephew-in-law if everything worked right with Barry. He was Iris West's nephew. So he brought him. That's who the white guy was too. So now it's a weird race thing because Iris is white, but this guy's black. So then they made him super. To me, he was super lame. Even his character now is lame. Like he's not with Wally. I knew because Wally's the one who made Flash cool to me because he did the tornado stuff. He went through lightning. That was the cool Flash. Barry does that now, but Wiley's the one who did it. First. So yeah, so they brought him in, and that wasn't a black writer who brought. That was a black hair then, so it made him lame, and which he's still lame today. Just like Duke from Batman, he's lame. Like only storyline he was good at was the We Are Robin storyline. And he did all that stuff with the We Are Robin logos and banding all the kids and the poor kids together to, be Robins. And now he's not even a Robin.
So I feel like I don't know if they don't map out the storyline. I don't know. Like, how indie creators, we map out our issues. I don't know if they don't do that there. Or if they do, the writer quits or they fire them. I don't know. And then like somebody comes and picks them up. But it seems like there's no like long-term vision for this character. It seems like, okay, let's just write for the next 3 months and then whatever. Well, I don't feel like
what I'm seeing her, let's say, you wrote Luna for 25 issues. You're done. You want to give it to somebody else to write, but it still be your character. So when I get on there, I'd be like, who cares about this lore you have for 25 issues? My story starts here at issue 26. Boom. And I just write. And that's basically what they do.
True. That's true. That's true too.
Going back to Brian Michael Bendis, I like him, He made Miles. He made Ironheart, and some other characters I can't think of right now, which are black characters. And you said write our own stories, and people give him hell because he's white writing black characters. But what they don't know, he has black kids. He has a black wife or whatever. So he made these characters for his kids. So
that's something I didn't know. I didn't know he had an interracial family.
Well, I don't know they're interracial. I think he adopted. I'm like, that's her kids. I'm not 100% sure if that's his kids or not, but for government purposes, those are his kids. But yeah, so he made them characters for his kids. So he's a comic book writer, and he wanted them kids to have something to read. They can see themselves in. So that's you get the man. What's that girl from DC? They made a TV show for her, but it canceled after season 1.
Oh, Naomi.
Naomi. Miles, Ironheart, and there's another one he made too. They're all black. They made him so. But other characters like who's a black character Black Panther. Let's go Black Panther. You know, a white guy made him. So
Mm-hmm.
I talked to another creator, and they don't like Black Panther. They thought the movie was cool. You know, it was good. Highlight, you know, stuff that goes on in Africa and make it look like more than they typically do. But then he pulled up comic book that he had and said, "Look, like they're supposed to be in Africa right now, and there's a what was it in the background? Let's say it was like a zebra in the background. He was like, I can go outside right now, and there's no animals nowhere. I don't think I ever seen an animal on the street my whole entire life, and he's Nigerian. So he said it's like it's crazy. They'll write this character think we so far behind. Like we got animals walking in our streets and stuff. We got lions. Like, can you imagine a lion being in the street? Everybody's going in panic. We don't. A lion's
Yeah.
not a house cat, and I was like, you know, that's
Yeah, I can
true.
understand that. Mm-hmm.
So, how important is it to you for
Mm-hmm.
black people to write our own characters? Like, because I
Mm-hmm.
see Luna's definitely black. So how do you feel about it?
I think it's very important, and just for those reasons you stated, you know, your friend who's from Nigeria didn't feel doesn't feel Black Panther represents him, and I can understand why, because Africa is the largest continent, even though we're led to believe it's not. It's actually it's actually the largest continent when you look at square mileage and everything. So Black Panther may not represent everyone on the continent of Africa for many reasons, and the same is true for here in the United States. Black Panther, there's some people who did not care for Black Panther and did not see Wakanda Forever. You know, so I think it's important that if you're a creator and you want to create this character that represents you, it's important to tell that story and, you know, get a team behind you that will help you with that vision. Because you're right, we are a diverse diaspora. Like one character may not resonate with you. You know, you may have a character in mind that may not resonate well with me. So I think it's important that if you have this story idea, go with it and tell it, because then you have an audience for it, you know. So I think it's very important, and because we're just so diverse, you know, what matters to you may not matter to me, vice versa. You know, some people can relate to this, some people don't, you know, and that's okay. There's characters for everyone out there, but I think that's in part due to this new like emergence of creators who now have the resources and tools that they maybe didn't have 10, 15 years back. So I think it's very important. I hope it continues. I hope it continues. And I hope Hollywood starts taking notes, you know, within these spaces, and start collaborating with some of these creators as they're doing. I forget the comic book company, but I just was on Instagram, and someone has partnering with a TV studio now to bring their comic book to cartoon, to animation. So it's definitely starting up, you know, and I feel like hopefully that trend will continue, you know.
All right, I want to dive into Luna. What is Luna and what is it about? Yeah, you gave us a brief little blurts here and there, but what is it?
Luna is it's a heartfelt futuristic tale about a queen who discovers she has powers and she's the only one that can save her world from this threat that's coming. So it's issue 1 is out, is available now. We're working on issue 2, so that will be available soon for pre-order through Kickstarter. Um, but it's, you know, it has the drama of the X-Men, because I love X-Men. It has all the drama of the X-Men, but, you know, a little bit of family friendly Game of Thrones. But it's for the family. It's something that you can read with your children. And it was very intentional in making sure the artist didn't put too much in there that would limit my ability to share this with my son. So but yeah, that's what's in a nutshell. That's what it's about.
So you got issue 1 and 2.
Mhm.
One is out, two's coming out, or both of
Mhm.
them is out already.
Issue 1 is out. You can order that through Concrete Comics right there on the website. And then issue 2 is coming. that will be, we're going to launch a Kickstarter for that, and that will be available. That Kickstarter will be up soon.
All right. So,
Mhm.
you said so you fan the X-Men, you be fan on your book?
I think so. Now this first issue is kind of like sets the stage
Okay.
for the events that are coming. But as the issues continue, you'll see more and more action. But with the X-Men, even though there was a lot of action, there was a lot of drama too. So I would if you like soap operas, if you like drama, then I think you're gonna like, the kind of the Luna, all the stuff that I put in there. Like, oh my gosh, no, she didn't. Know what?
Now, is it
So
now? I pretty like I can't remember like if I read it or not, but it's a cosmic story, right?
in space,
Not
which,
technically, but it's like I won't say it's space, but it's more like
it's not on Earth. It doesn't
yeah,
take.
it's on her own planet. So,
Yeah.
but it had so I think it was like a I don't know, it's like a fantasy futuristic type thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the descendants of Earth have migrated to other galaxies,
Mm-hmm.
and so Luna's planet is called Maru. And thousands of years ago, humans have settled on this planet called Maru, and essentially populated it. So Luna is the queen of Maru, and yeah, but they're descendants of humans in a different galaxy.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
How many issues you got planned for this?
For the first series, I have 6 issues
Okay.
planned. And then, but I hope to continue with another volume, and that will be 6 issues. And then the third volume is where her story finishes. That will be 6 issues. So I plan on, going until her story's finished.
All right. Now you plan on doing any other storylines branching off this one, or just gonna focus on her?
Mm-hmm. I'm actually working on a project that I've been thinking about all year. They're just going to be pinups, but they're gonna be crossovers with some other characters, and these pinups are kind of going to be. I want to kind of open the door and the conversation to doing crossovers with the big two. So I'm working on that. I'm thinking about the concepts now, but it's going to be geared towards children. So, but I'm working on the concept in my head right now and trying to put everything down and brainstorming. And I want to find the right artist to kind of capture, my concepts. So I'm working on that because I do want to tell Luna's story as when she was a kid, because I don't know if you remember, but there's a scene in issue 1 where she's a child and she starts to manifest her powers. And so I want to kind of I want to tell more of her story as a child, and the things she went through and the questions she had and the challenges she faced. Um and so I'm working on that. Um I'm also starting to send out queries to write my book. I do want to write a novel for Luna. So I'm working on that right now. Um, and just kind of getting my head right for the rejection letters. So, but yeah, I'm going to commit to branching off of Luna, doing more with Luna in this coming year. So, mhm.
Yeah. I plan on doing the same thing with my character, the View, to my younger version. But
Mhm.
in my world, like I said, he was like the hero, so I try to not focus so much on the hero stuff. So that younger View will be his actual person, Chaz. So I'm gonna focus on more of his stuff. But I haven't quite figured it out. Only reason I got that idea because doing these local shows, parents will come up and you have stuff in younger kids for trying to read, trying to learn how to read and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I don't. But okay, I can create a story, a kid story just to get money. But how would it be beneficial? So I started like, okay, I got all these characters I made. They got a world, so I can just dumb it down So like,
Mhm.
okay, if they read Chaz's book when they was a kid, or had fell in love with him, now they can read when he's older and when he's a superhero, and
Mhm.
keep him there.
Right.
So I plan.
And there's a lot of parents looking for something for their children
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of parents, my son homeschooled, so when I talk to other parents, they're just like me. They're very particular about what their child reads and sees. And even though we try to educate our children appropriately, hey, when we turn on the TV, it might be such and such. You don't want them. You don't want our. I don't want my son to see it all the time. Like I know he's going to see it, but I don't want him to see it all the time. I want him to have something, an alternative that's age appropriate, so he won't lose all of his innocence in one book. You know what I mean? So, but there's a huge need for that in the market right now. I don't know of any comic book publishers who have like a steady stream of children's books, based around these characters. Now, I could be wrong. I could be missing something, but
Yeah,
I
well, you definitely
don't know.
you definitely are, and I'm pretty sure it's because your kids homeschool. But the same book fair you was talking about,
Mhm.
Scholastics, they do it all the time. Um, I
Mm.
work in retail, so I'm starting to see. I go past the book side so I can steal ideas from who's putting out stuff. But Captain Underpants, that kid, he got
Oh,
Captain
yeah.
Underpants, he got
Yeah.
Dog Man, he's still putting out. Um, it's a TV show or movie I don't remember on Netflix called The Last Kids on Earth or something like that. They developed that show into a comic book series, so they putting that out. Uh,
I think
the,
The Last Kids on Earth was that on Netflix recently?
it's on Netflix. I don't know how recent it is, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it definitely one of
Yeah.
their
I didn't know it
flagship.
was a comic book series. Was
Obviously,
the movie?
so they took the kids and made them like popular kid animation style. I can't think. Let's say Steven Universe for the story.
Okay.
And
I may
they
let
make
my
them
son.
look like them characters, but it's the same characters from the movie in their
Hmm.
own little thing.
I think I may.
Uh,
Yeah.
the Babysitters Club. You remember that show? That's the comic book series now.
Really? Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I remember the books. I remember reading the books.
So instead of being live action or whatever, they're cartoon characters in
Yeah,
comic
comic
books.
books. Oh well, good, good. I don't know if my son will be interested in that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that. But the
he
other,
he he didn't. He knows about Captain Underpants, and he didn't relate to it.
um,
And I think that gets back to your point that's why it's important for more stories to come out
mhm.
because what one child may resonate with another child won't. um but we got into Captain Underpants for a little bit, but he just didn't resonate with what was going on in the story.
What about
No.
Friday nights with Freddie? Is that something they kids
That's a
like?
child a children's thing. Friday night. Freddie, which Freddie?
It's like a little. The way they explained to me
uh
is
Freddie Krueger. Not
no no
not
no it's a dog or a bear. I don't know what it is, but
okay. Okay.
apparently it's a game the kids play. Apparently it's like I guess it used to be like an old Chuck E. Cheese type of thing. So the music park is where Freddy is or whatever, and the kids play the game. I guess the kid ventures into the amusement park, and it's old and run down, and they just go through there. It's supposed to be hoping it's like a jump scares or whatever, but the kids play it. But wherever that storyline or game about, they turned that into a comic book as well. So like, um, yeah, I can't think. I want to say I think it's Fright Nights with Freddy or whatever, but it's about
Okay.
kids going to an old Chuck E. Cheese type thing. Like it was popular years ago, but
Friday night. I'm curious. Friday nights.
yeah, it was a jump scare game. But yeah, all that's comic books, and I was amazed because like they say kids don't read comics and all that stuff, but all these stuff is comic books now. So cause a lot of
That's
kids,
that's a scary thing.
yeah, but young like
You, you know,
elementary kids, yeah, elementary kids are definitely.
wait, wait, wait. This one?
Is it a bear? I don't know. Let me see. But like elementary school kids, they love that for some reason.
That looks
I,
terrifying.
that's what I thought it was something.
That
I
that is
thought I
terrifying.
thought it was something more too, but apparently it's a kids thing. Uh, uh,
Let me see.
because a lot of kids they have a hard time reading, and the comics are the short little blurts of words that help them read, and so more
Yeah.
kids are going to that because now they get like a shorter sentence they can read with the same kind of words.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to another creator, he said when he was old, he's probably like 60 years old, or whatever. But he said when he was a kid, when he read comics, he was reading words that he wouldn't see in his kind of books, like reading Fantastic Four. Yeah, Reed Richards saying all kind of big words. Now he's going to a dictionary and learning about these big words. But the
Mm-hmm.
kids' books he was reading, they're not putting no words in there. So he said he was learning more from comics than he was from kids' books.
I believe it. And you know what? I remember when my son was learning how to read, I bought him this book set, this phonics like book set, not phonics, but it taught you how to say the vowels, and it was a Marvel. It was like the Avengers, so it was like a little book, and it had all the word. A lot of the words had like the e sound in them, and so I do see that. I do see, like, you're right. When now that I'm thinking about it, I do see kid centered books. Um, I guess the where I want to go with my books is more of um like learning about different things, like why is my hair so different, why do I look different, why do I feel sad, things that have a and like I said, like you said, it could be out there. I'm just not thinking about it. I haven't seen it. But I personally haven't seen anything that I could sit down with my son and read and he would be interested.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to explore that in the future, and how I can turn Luna and the other characters that's in the story into these life lessons for kids. So, but yeah, you're right. There are things out there. But that Friday night at
Yeah,
Freddy's,
I'm looking up now. So like, but
that
like
don't that's
that
scary for kids.
that first movie, like what I'm looking up now is a movie that came out, but I'm pretty sure it was a game. So this movie might mean somebody, they did whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was one of those computer games or
Mhm.
uh phone games or something like that, and they just like little jump scares. So they go and do it, and it's like, oh, but that movie, I think that's an indie movie somebody had made. It was on IMB, because
Yeah,
uh
you might it
that
might be
says
something different. Yeah.
2019, and what I'm talking about definitely older than 2019. Like it's been out for a pretty long while.
Okay.
Like I say, probably like teenagers now probably grew up with it. Like it's been out for a while. Like
Okay.
it came out. Like same kids who watching that was playing Minecraft. Like that's how old it was. Like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that movie that might be like that Winnie the Pooh movie
No.
that he's like he's a serial killer. It's
Oh
probably something
no.
like that.
I,
That
I hate that
they took the
domain
they
now.
yeah they took the IP and ran off with it.
Yeah, I hate that.
Um, just to end off on this segment, what you think about the future of indie comics?
I think it's bright. I think it's bright. I think that there are a lot of great original characters out there, and if the creators are allowed to tell their story in a big um in the way that they intended, I think it can be a really great adaptation, down the road. Um, but I think the future is bright. And I think that more indie creators are kind of finding each other and supporting each other more, so more and more. Um, but I think it's bright. I'm looking forward to seeing, all reading the stuff that I have here in this basket that I haven't read yet. But I think it's very bright, and I just I love to support indie creators every single month. I try to do two. I try to support two creators a month, with my little coins. So I think it's bright. I hope we see more, on TV. I hope we see more of these projects on TV. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the end of that segment. Going to my last segment. It's called um, digging in the crates, and the double meaning term. Comic books. You dive in on comic book crates. To get the old X-Men stuff or the Nubia stuff. That you enjoy, and go back to the OC. You get that old Janet Jackson and uh, Chloe songs in there. So I'm dig through and all this interview and pull out something. But everybody else, for this segment, I've been asking them how would they bring in concrete comics to the silver screen. Meaning like how Marvel did it or DC. So I want your take on how you'll bring it in.
Concrete comics.
Yeah.
Wow, it's such a diverse universe. Each character can appeal to, different audiences. I think it's appropriate to introduce Acolyte first.
Okay.
I would actually, if we, if money was no limit, I would actually do like kind of an Iron Man kind of thing. Introduce Acolyte with his own movie, and then the second movie bring in a few more characters. The third movie bring in the whole team, which would include Luna. Um, so I would do it like that because what I really liked about the comic book adaptation of Tony Stark, even though they didn't, bring in all the whole entire, they didn't stay true to the comic book storylines. It's like they made it their own, and
Mm-hmm.
if Concrete Comics was able to, bring the universe to the big screen, I think Acolyte would have his own movie. And that's just fitting, right? Because it's, that's the Lonzo. Concrete is Lonzo's baby, and then those second, third movies bring in the rest of the team, and then you can kind of have spinoffs of those characters and have their origin movies and things like that. But that's how I would see it. That's how I think it would be appropriate, to see that, because then the people who come to support this movie, they'll fall in love with these characters. They have time to kind of spend time with these characters, and it's not just all thrown together in this like montage. This movie. Everybody will have their kind of their own moment to kind of be bought in, be introduced, and things like that. So, and that's what made Avengers so beautiful, was because you spend time with these characters. You kind of saw their backstory, most of them anyway. And then so when they came together, it made it all the kind of the more beautiful and powerful, So I see, I hope that's, something that's down the line for Concrete, Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, like everybody else, I'm not gonna tell you how everybody else want to break it in. How many I said it was the same last interview? I can't remember, but did you clash with anybody? It might be two of y'all who said what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. It might be two. But the crazy part, everybody has a different take on how they'll bring it in, which is all good because y'all all writers and creators. But and some of y'all said y'all own characters, some of them said different characters, which is crazy because like you would think something like you try to say, yeah, I have my character da 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 first, but some people they didn't do it. So it's funny how they view themselves, the creators, and the company as a whole. How they'll formulate. So that's just unity with y'all. Anyway, y'all
Mm-hmm.
see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But the question that I want to dig into this interview is about your family and kids stuff you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
If you was had an opportunity to write or for a kids or family show or book or IP, what would it be?
If I had a chance to write, be just a store, like a showrunner for a project on TV, movies. I would definitely write about my character, Luna. I mean, there are some mainstream characters that I would love to write for, but I don't want to talk about them yet because I feel like I don't want to jinx myself, you know. But
Any show?
any show, I would turn Luna into a show. And Luna's story, like I said, Luna, you know, I would love to focus on when Luna was a child, but Luna actually has, you know, I'm sure this is not going to be a spoiler, but Luna has children, you know, in my story. So I always wanted to, once those issues came out, I always wanted to write more about those kids because they are going to have powers, you know, and I would love to create a series around their powers and how they are learning to come into their own and learn how to navigate this kind of world that they didn't ask to be born in. And you know, kind of like the adventures, you know, their adventures of you know them saving their day, saving the day. Like I even wrote a script probably about 2 years ago, based on the children, and you know, that's probably where I would take it. But I would definitely bring Luna, kind of do like kind of an Avatar kind of thing, the real Avatar, the Aang's. I would love to do something like that with Luna. And then kind of have a spinoff for of her children and telling their story. So that's what I would, if I've ever had an opportunity, that's what I would do. That would be the family, kind of the family content, family friendly content that I would create. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of the show. For people who are watching this and want to support you or your Kickstarter drops, what can they follow you at? Be on the lookout for that at?
Mm-hmm. So the best way is to just follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Moon the Storyteller. And then, you know, in my bio, I have where you can sign up for my email list. You can check out Luna issue #1, and you can kind of just stay up to date on everything I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. It's been good.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's the end of the interview. Hope y'all enjoyed it, bro. Let me. Hey, if you, hey, Specks, I got a couple minutes, man. Let me get. Come on, man. Come on. Give it here. Dang. All right, y'all. I only got a little bit of time. You know, y'all check out Concrete Comics. They got real dope stories, real dope heroes and villains. Y'all check them out. Man, I've been working with them. They're doing this thing for the whole set, man. December, man. Check them out. Check out the website at Concrete Comics. Get their books. They got plenty of bundles for you, so you can check out all their characters. And, you know, you can check me out too. I'm not Concrete Comics, but I got some dope books and some dope villains. So check me out at legacyreview.com, buy a book, and follow me at Legacy Review. And follow this guy over here laid out, Specks706. Follow him. He's my co-host. Why not? And you want to be on the show for next season, because we're almost over this season. Hit us up at chillthegreenbox@gmail.com, or just hit us up at chillthegreenbox. Man, I'm gone. Bye. That guy.